So today we are going on a little field trip. I am in Annapolis, Maryland, which is the site of the Naval Academy. And there's a museum here that has something that is very interesting and very relevant to US-Japan relations that I'd like to go take a look at. So as we used to say on Japanology Plus, let's check it out. Here we go. So just a little historical background here. In 1853, the American government sent a fleet of steamships to Japan to open its harbors by force, if necessary, to the outside world. Japan had been closed off to the outside world for 250 years at the order of Shogun Tokugawa Ieyasu, whose dynasty continued ruling Japan for the next 2.5 centuries. But by the mid-1800s, the Americans, with their steamship fleet, needed places to refuel, and Japan was one of those places that they wanted to refuel their ships. So they sent this fleet of steamships to the Japanese waters, to the harbor of Uraga, which is near Yokohama, and demanded that the Japanese open up. And this was a huge, huge happening in Japan. Like, it was the equivalent of an alien spaceship arriving over the White House or something like that. These steamships were technology the Japanese had never seen. They're literal warp drives. They can make it across the Pacific in just a week, as opposed to the months it had taken up until that point. And they came bearing all sorts of other technologies from the outside world, and it made the Japanese government, which was then the Bakufu, the shogunate, the shogun still running it, realize how far behind they were in comparison to the outside world. So the appearance of these ships off the coast of Japan struck kind of fear and awe into the hearts of Japanese. And to this day, they call them the black ships because they'd never seen anything like them. And they represent a huge turning point in US-Japan relations and history. So I'm going to keep looking around here and see if I can find the object that has to do with this historic moment, which is on display here in the museum. And I have found it. I have found the flag that Commodore Perry flew over the black ships that sailed into Uraga Harbor near Yokohama in 1853 when the US opened the Japanese ports for the first time in 200 years. Check this out. This is it. This is the actual flag that flew over the Susquehanna, the steamship, the flagship of the steamship fleet that steamed across the Pacific to Japan in 1853. And then, really interestingly, was also requested by Douglas MacArthur, General Douglas MacArthur, who was actually a distant relative of Perry. And it was hung up on the Missouri, the USS Missouri, and it can be seen in the background of the signing of the peace treaty between Japan and the United States in 1945, September 2nd, 1945. But this is absolutely amazing. I've always wanted to see this. I only recently learned that it was still intact and on display here at the Naval Academy Museum in Annapolis. But this is it. Real piece of US-Japan history right here. And here's a little bonus. This is the actual desk that was used to sign the Treaty of Surrender between Japan and the US in 1945 aboard the USS Missouri. And you can't see it in this reconstruction, but on the wall, on the bulkhead of the ship, the same flag that flew over the black ships would have been hanging. And MacArthur, who, as I said, was a distant relative of Commodore Perry, requested specifically that it be brought from this museum, where it was on display, to Tokyo Harbor so that he could hang it on the bulkhead of the Missouri during the signing. So this is like a doubly freighted object, both from the opening of the harbor and also from the signing of the peace treaty between Japan and the US. There you have it. That was pretty interesting. There are few moments as pivotal in modern history as when those steamships sailed into Japanese waters and opened up Japan to trade and all sorts of other things. And I don't know, that flag has really, as they say, seen some shit. So it is really interesting to see it still around and being preserved here at the US Naval Academy. The Naval Academy is open to visitors and the museum is open to visitors. It's all free. So if you ever happen to be in Maryland and Annapolis, which is a really charming little town on the Chesapeake Bay, check it out. It's really got a lot of history about the American endeavors, naval endeavors and such. And that's it for this time. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this and you enjoy my content, please hit the subscribe button. Really appreciate it. And I will catch you next time.